Yeah, you want to say hi, don't you? My call is right now. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome into a very special Q&A session. This one's going to start a little bit different because I did start a few minutes late. I've got my daughters with me. My wife is currently putting my little guy, who is 2.5 years old, down for a nap. So she will be in momentarily. Typically, we have it timed out pretty well. But we have a very adventurous little girl here who has been enjoying climbing up on counters recently. So we've had to be on extra parent duty. So with all that said, I'm going to have a couple special guests, my daughter Bria and my daughter Annie, who's toddling around. And they're going to join here and learn about some web design stuff. So let me pull a couple things up on my end. Pata, I'm not seeing our comments. Oh, they changed it. Ecamm Live changed something. So drop into the chat. Say hey if you would. I would love to hear where you're joining us from. Thank you, baby. Daddy's going to pull my mic close just to make sure everyone can hear me. Maybe we'll go we may have to change it up today a little bit. There we go. That should work. Drop in the chat if you would, everybody, and say hey. And we will get down to some web design business questions here, or parentpreneur questions if you'd like to start off there. You guys know me. I'm an open book. So jump into the chat, say hey. Hopefully you can hear me with the commotion here. And, oh, there's my wife. Perfect timing. All right, guys. You want to go with mommy? Yeah, you got to go with mommy. And then I'm going to do daddy's call here. Oh, mister. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Oh. Well, apparently my little guy did not go down for a nap, so he wanted to say hi. Hey, everybody. This is starting to feel like a Web Designer Pro call because my kids often make appearances in our coaching calls, but today, everybody gets to say hey. All right, buddy. Daddy has a call here. Daddy has a call, and then I'll be out. All right, get on, get out of here. All right, guys, have fun. All right, guys. Go ahead, buddy. Good job. Thank you, Kitty. All right, guys. Good times. Good times. All right. How's everybody doing? Let's check the chat. And Alexia says, love the special guests. It's always a good time, as parentpreneurs know, especially when it comes to calls. They're not always going to, they're like, let me see your call schedule. Yeah, that's crap, Dad. I got my own ideas. All right, everybody. Well, let's dive into some fun here. I think while some questions are coming in the chat, there was a couple things I wanted to mention. One being, there's a couple really cool things that I have released in my community Web Designer Pro that I wanted to share. Those of you who are members you've seen this likely, but if you are not yet a member of Web Designer Pro, we have a little what's new section here, and I took some pro members who just have really strong businesses and are at different ranges in their business, and I created something called insPROration. So it's a collection of 15 current Web Designer Pro members who have great offers, clear copy, and are just up to some amazing things for just that, insPROration. So members of Web Designer Pro, make sure you check this out. If you're not a member yet, you can just go to webdesignerpro.com and join us. If you join the community level, this is available for you. A lot of these members have given details that are behind their business, and a lot of them have even included their current revenue numbers so you guys can see what's possible and learn from other folks. And even if you're really established, you can maybe find some gaps in your business that will help you out. So check that out. Additionally, have you guys seen, I put this in my newsletter a couple weeks ago, but I created a revenue calculator. So let me copy this here for you. If you have not seen this, I created recently a new revenue calculator. The chat, it's in the chat, this link, but I'm really, really excited about this because you can now visualize your services, both one-time and recurring, with this brand new revenue calculator. I have made this completely free. You can copy this. There's a couple walkthrough videos here for you. And here's the calculator. So for example, again, this is in the chat. So click that to copy the revenue calculator. You can make multiple versions of this. But I love this because you can now visualize your primary services and any recurring services you have, and you can look at your target revenue. So let's say you want to make a 6-figure business real quick. Let's say you have website in a day or website in a week services at 2,500. You could go in here and you could say, okay, I confidently could sell one of those a month. So we'll put that at 12. This will automatically adjust your yearly total and your revenue target down here. Let's say you do larger builds. Let's say you're even at $5,000. You could just change this to 5,000. Whoop. Let's change this to 5,000. And let's say I'm pretty sure I could do like 6 of those. And there we go. We're already at 60K for our revenue target. And let's say I do big sites at maybe like e-commerce that are, anywhere around 15,000. Let's say even if I just do 2 of those, boom, we're already nearly on track for a 6-figure business right there. And if you offer additional services like logo and branding packages, let's say you could do at least 5 of those a year. You sell SEO boost packages, which is what I teach in my SEO course. You could sell at least a dozen of those. You do website audits for clients. Let's say your goal is one of those a month. That's 12. Look at that. We're already well over 6 figures. And then we haven't even touched our recurring revenue. Let's say you have a basic website maintenance plan for $99 a month, and eventually you get to 25 clients on that. That's almost $30,000 a year, and you can see what that will add to your total revenue goals in your calculator. And let's say you have like an advanced marketing plan or an SEO plan that's $1,000. You could sell maybe 3 of those, get 3 of those a month. This is how you can very, very quickly get up to the $250,000 range. And let's say you adjust your pricing to where now you have a $4,000 website in a week type plan, and then your main range starts at 10K. Just with a few pricing tweaks, you can see how now you could get that up to $250,000. So it's in the chat, guys. Go download the revenue calculator and use it. Map out your business where you're at today, and then you can also map out where you want to be. Let me check the chat to see what you guys think about that and more. Hey, Carolyn, it's good to see you in the house. Kelly, great to see you as well. Welcome in. Is it Fogelsville? Welcome in. Hey, Valerie from Dallas, Texas. Great to have you here. I'm not sure where all the weather is in relation to you. I hope you guys are staying safe. I just saw we have a lot of What Is On a Pro members in Texas, and I know we had some members close to some of the scary stuff, so I hope you guys are all right down there. Alexia wanted to know, have you ever had a client that wants to combine several different design directions and is having trouble deciding on a style? If so, how do you handle it? So yes, for sure, Alexia. It kind of depends. I did have it was more of a friend. Thank God it wasn't a client. I had a videographer friend who plain and simple said, I don't know what I want. And he never got his website live and I didn't work on it long. I was like, dude, he didn't pay me for it. It was kind of like when I was starting. And those are the ones you really need to be careful on, is those who just can't decide. That's why having an absolute deadline for a project is key. That does not go past that, because you're forced to move forward. What I would say, Alexia, is if they just can't decide on a style, make sure you have hard cutoff times for their phases in their project. And you say, look, we need to decide, and just let them know this isn't something that's carved in stone. Like, you could decide on style A for the website, and let's let this roll out. And then eventually, if you want to do a redesign, or if you want to even change some of the button styles or colors, that's always an option. Obviously not ideal for long-term sustainability, but you got to decide on something. So that's the way I would go about that. And there's a few little things you could probably do from there. I would ask them, like, hopefully, I think, Alexia, you have like an inspo type process, but get inspiration from them if they know what kind of sites they like. If they don't know what kind of sites they like, show them your portfolio or give them different categories. That's one of the best ways to go about that. That's actually something that Bailey, who's on my podcast this week, has everyone listened to that episode with Bailey on how her and her agents, or her and her team, have done over 400 website in a day offers? I highly recommend that. And one thing we talked about was that kind of analysis paralysis with team, or with her clients. So she helps guide them with, like, she'll ask for inspiration, but if a client doesn't know what they want, she has categories. She has categories of websites that are masculine, categories that are feminine, categories that are, different styles, whimsical, etc. So that's the best way to go about that. I will put this podcast link in the chat. If you guys have not heard that one, I think everybody should listen to this episode, even if you don't have the desire to do a website in a day service, because while this is her main offer, Bailey actually has a system that you can replicate for your starter packages. So I have the details below, but Bailey does have a brand new course coming out on this. So I back it. I recommend it. I am a proud affiliate for it. If you use my link below, that'll take you to this exclusive page where you can get her Design Day Blueprint course. And you can out of the gate charge $2,500 starting. One more time for anyone multitasking and just perked up. You can charge $2,500 after going through this course out of the gate. Now, her pricing is actually starting at around $4,000. So you could technically do that as well, depending on where you are in your journey and your comfort with pricing. I would have your starting range, and it depends on your clientele as well as you build social proof. I think a nice starting point range is $2,500. Most clients who are going to be okay with spending $1,000 to $1,500 are going to swing $2,500. But $4,000 and $5,000 is a different ball game in people's pricing mindset. So if you're not ready to charge $4K for a website in a day offer, charge $2,500. Use my link below, which will take you here, because you will get an exclusive bonus deal when you jump into Bailey's course. That course is actually, it is cohort style at first. It is going to close on Friday, so you need to make sure you jump in on Friday. But guys, I highly recommend it. Website in a day is not a model I teach, but it is absolutely what I would recommend doing within my larger model as your starter package, at least. Carolyn says, amazing podcast. Love the metaphors, Josh. Yeah, the puns and the metaphors are truly what I'm getting very good at. So yeah, that's, if I ever stop coaching on the business of web design, it'll be because I started a pun school. KY Lamore, welcome in. Mick Lamore. That's a fun last name. Do you think website in a day or website in a week are feasible for new builders? I would start with website in a week, KY, for sure. And even $2,500 for a website in a week is a great offer, because you could frame it to where you could still get a lot of the design done in probably a few days, but some of the other processes around that, especially if you decide to jump into Bailey's course, using my link, if you would, it is an affiliate link, that will help you leverage all of the content collection, client communication, and everything around the actual build day, still within the context of a week if you wanted to. So absolutely, I would start with a week and just say, you can even map it out to where you say, we get your content collection within a week of your time, and then your week starts, this week. Monday is when we solidify. You do an initial strategy call or design call. You get going. Maybe midweek is time for revisions, and that gives you a couple more days to add in the revisions. Now, the one difference between this, KY, is that with Bailey and her website in a day offer, she literally dedicates a full day completely. No other projects aside from a couple little windows for check-ins and maybe a consult call, but her and her team are dedicated. With a website in a week, the only difference would be is that you're not actually dedicating a full week of 40 hours to a project. You're just expanding the window of deliverables from one actual day to start to finish to more so pockets and segments within a week from start to finish. So, but yeah, absolutely. I would just frame it as your starter websites are done in 7 days or 5 days. It's a website in a week model. Monday you start, Friday you're launched. How fun is that for clients to know? I love that model. If it were me and I were starting that offer, I would run with the website in a week, because it would just give a little bit of leeway, especially if you're balancing a lot of different projects, or if you're working part-time. If you're working somewhere and you can't commit to a full day and you're doing web design on the side or part-time, website in a day is not possible, but website in a week is something to consider. Great question. All right, guys. Well, I am yours for a full hour. Jump in the chat. There is no bad question. I am an open book. We can talk about business. We can talk about how fast summer is going. Is it going super fast for anyone else? I feel like someone's got the dang fast forward button on. It is going so fast. Carolyn says, if a client has approved the initial design, phase 1, then going into phase 2, they start with the crazy edits and style changes. How do you avoid that? So It depends on what those edits would be, Carolyn, in relation to, like, is it design related, like making the logo pop and moving buttons around, or is it more like copy and messaging? Because those can be two different things. So, I mean, if they've approved the initial design, then I would say there are no more design edits. Like, the edits of the initial design in phase 1 are done. You move on to building the rest. So, the kind of like stern way to go about that is to say we could do more edits, but they're going to be an upcharge. We've already approved. It's kind of like when my wife and I were building our home, we had a very small window to make the decisions. And then, okay, so it's design related. Got it. So we had a very, very small window to make decisions on the design. And once they're approved, you cannot change them. So I've said this a lot more recently, and I really want to double down on this idea that web designers in particular, and all service providers, all designers in particular, we need to almost treat our businesses like we're in a different industry. Like, when you're building a home, you get a very small window to decide what countertops you want, decide the layout of the house, decide the main things. And then once that is approved, it's on to production. So you, Carolyn, are already on production. It's probably going to be a little bit of a mental challenge, because you move from like pixel pusher and people pleaser to business owner. And you're like, listen, client, I would happy to do these, but these are major changes and we've already got approval. We're already in production. So I would frame it like that. We're in production. We can't make these changes unless it's an add-on, because we're getting into, changing what's already been approved, and we're going to mess up the plan. So, or just charge more. Just say we could do it, but it's good. We would need to make that a separate, retainer type hour thing. But you want to get that. And again, it's already been approved. So there's a difference between planning and strategy and design to production and build. And that's why my recommended phases are design, build, edit. So, and by way of edit, just any final tweaks on like copy. That's kind of less of a more important thing. There's the big distinction is design and build. Yeah. So let me know if that helps, Carolyn. In short, let them know you are in the production phase and it's already been approved. So anything out of approval is going to need to be separate. Not easy to do, I know. Easy for me to say because they're not my client, but you do need to get stern with people who are wishy-washy and are going back and forth and changing stuff, especially as you're midway through a project. If you just joined us, welcome in. It's so great to see you. I did post in the chat real quick. I highly, highly, highly recommend checking out my new revenue calculator. This is completely free. I've made it available to everybody. This is here to help you map out your revenue target. And you can literally structure a six-figure business here or a multi-six-figure business and see what you need to do. And don't think that you need to do all of these services. Let's say you just do, like a couple of these services. You don't need to worry about anything that you don't do. Let's say you don't do anything here. All right. Let's say you just do $10,000 websites and you're pretty confident you get 8 of those a year. Awesome. And you have support plans. You've got a maintenance plan. Let's say you eventually want to get to 35 customers at 99 range. Let's say you can get 10 on a fallback plan, but then you've got a few larger sites that need some ongoing support. Look at that. 8 websites and under 50 clients on a monthly retainer at a couple different levels is $173,000. Is that freaking awesome? Now, you got to do the work, but I'm showing you this to show you how practical it is to make this happen. And I'll tell you this because I released this early in Web Designer Pro, and I got so much feedback about how members felt so much more confident in selling because they knew what they needed to sell and they knew their offers, and they gave a much more visual, clear reference of like, okay, I could do this. And right now, what I would say is adjust your pricing to where you are now. And what I would do is duplicate this model, and then I would do a version of where you want to get to. So make this model where you are now and make this one where you want to get to. So do that for your own reference. This is completely free. I've made it available to everybody. Again, this just maps out very common, and this is a large suite of services. Most web designers don't have this many services, but I'm just offering you what you could do if you have this many services. But if you don't do these, don't worry about them. Delete those bad boys and don't even think about them. And you could just go in here and delete the rows. I'm not a spreadsheet master, but you can delete those if you don't want them, just to clarify and clean up your suite of services. But you will be shocked at how fast you can get to 6 and multi-six figures and have a plan of action for that. That is in the chat for everyone to copy and check out. All right, KY said, definitely going to check that new podcast out because I'm wondering if the website in a day versus week structure offerings are a little different than the people that spend up to a month on a website. Yeah, they are, KY. And it does depend on the complexity of the builds. I will say that. Bailey straight up said they are for 6-page and under websites with limited functionality. So if you do have a complex build, it's going to be a minimum of a week up to 30 days. But the distinction I would do there is that a website in a day offer is extremely productized. It is extremely constrained with the amount of things you will do. A website in a week could be expanded on a little bit. Maybe that could be like a 10-page website with a calendar, a blog, and a few other features. But then if you have a large site that's like 30 pages and there's a lot of custom work and there's SEO involved, that's a month project for sure. So there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. I know a lot of people dog web designers who are doing 30 to 45 days. That's what I did, and it worked. And I was able to space and stagger projects, but I was often doing for whatever reason, pretty robust sites, or at least ones that were a good 10, 20. I think my average page count on my top projects were at least 20 to 30 pages. So yes, I had plenty that were in the 5 to 10 range, but yeah, for whatever reason, I was just getting a lot of those in the 10 to 20 to 30 page count range. So my usual turnaround was monthish. But absolutely, if you're going to do a week, constrain it and just spread those out for UKY and others who are interested in having a more productized offer. Yes. KY says also the revenue calculator makes making 1K a year look realistic. It is. It truly is. And sometimes you just got to visualize it. Sometimes you just got to visualize what you need to do, because a lot of web designers in particular may market. And then you're like, I don't really know how many I need to make. I don't know what I need to charge. All those questions. If you join Web Designer Pro, at least in the courses tier, you get my access to all my courses. My business course is what helps guide you through that. So you'll get confident on your pricing and your offers. But then the question becomes, how do I exactly know like how many I want to sell? And it will change you to become a bit of a business owner, even as a creative. And that's what you want to get to. Most people who get to 6 figures and beyond either become or are thrust into becoming a business owner. So I'm glad that helped, KY. That's great. It's great to have Austin in the house, who was pumped to be here. And maybe that was in relation to the website calculator, Austin. I'm not sure, but I'm just going to say Austin's pumped to be here. So it's good to see everybody. Jump on in the chat, guys. I am down to answer any questions you guys have. Some great ones in so far. Again, I mentioned this a little bit ago, but go check out whether or not you're interested in a website in a day service. Check out the recent podcast episode with Bailey Collins. Her and her team have done over 400 website in a day projects. And she is not lying. She is the real deal. I learned a lot from her on how she structures this, because they truly do it in one day. But as you'll see, it is extremely productized, and it is only for sites that are 6 pages and under with a couple add-on options. She does have a $10,000 custom option for sites that are bigger, but her bread and butter is the website in a day. And if you would like to steal everything from Bailey and know her process in and out, use the link I have below for you. It's joshhall.co/DDB for Design Day Blueprint. I am a proud affiliate of her course that is dropping next Friday. So enrollment does close on this, but if you use my link, you will get a special bonus. It's actually a $500 value bonus that you'll get automatically just by using my link. So head on over there. And again, if you learn from Bailey, you can charge confidently at minimum $2,500. So the course right now is a $1,600 investment, but you do one project in one day with her model, that's $2,500. That's $900 profit. Did I get that right? Yes. And that's just one. You do several of those a week. it's going to be a whole new you. And you use my revenue calculator to figure out how many you want to sell. And everyone is loving life, having a good time. And then you can join my community, Web Designer Pro, because you got the cheddar rolling in and it's no big deal for you. So that's the goal. And we can all win-win together. Everything, says Austin. He's just pumped. That's because Austin has had a bunch of growth this year, Austin. Congrats. I forget the exact percentages, but I think you were like well over 3x from last year, right, Austin? So good on Austin. Exciting times ahead as a Web Designer Pro member. Alexia, another pro member. That's one thing I'm focused on more, being business-minded, not just creative-minded. Yep, tracking revenue and MRR has helped tons. Yeah, that's awesome, Alexia. And it's tricky because I would encourage everyone to not lose your creative spark, your creative vibe, if you will, Alexia, as the owner of Visual Vibe, because you want to be creative and you want to stay up on trends. But the reality is your mortgage company and your cell phone company and your cable company, they don't care about how creative you are. They want you to pay them for the rent and the bills and the utilities. So you got to almost be a business owner. You can't buy stuff with creativity. You need to buy stuff with actual revenue coming in. So it's very tricky, but balancing the left and right brain of being creative, but also being, business owner and logical, that's where we all need to get to. How do you determine if a niche is underserved or there's enough money to be made there? Yeah, good question, Kelly. You could do some basic market research on that industry. The one thing I would really be careful about with certain niches is volatility of it. Like, is it something that is going to be hit potentially with anything? Right now, tariffs are obviously talk of the town. I know I have a pro member who serves primarily authors, and authors have been hit big time with tariffs. A lot of people who were helping tourists, I knew one web designer who specifically worked with tourist and travel companies. Guess what happened in the spring of 2020? He lost almost all his business overnight because all those businesses were shut down. So you want to make sure if you go niche, it's something that is going to stand the test of times with fluctuations in the global and economic landscapes. So just think about that. And obviously no one has a crystal ball to be able to see, everything on there, but you just don't want to get into a market where that could potentially, you're reliant on their success. That's kind of the big point, is you don't want to put yourself in a position where your success relies on a certain market's success. But if you do some basic research and you have a really good understanding of that market share and then what your competition looks like, co-opetition, if you want to work with them, awesome, go for it. And the reality is most industries are multi-million or billion-dollar industries. So like hair salon, average hair salons don't make that much by themselves, but if you can get one on to a $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 annual plan, you don't need that many of those to get to six figures just on your end. But there's also nothing wrong with having industries served. Actually, a quick example of that. Let me show you. I'm going to show you two examples of industry served. If you want to go kind of niche, but not all in on niche. So my favorite example of a kind of a hybrid niche approach is Content Snare. This is the content collection software that I use. And I remember James, the owner I've known for a while, he told me, because he was a web designer. He was a digital agency owner. And he started this product specifically for digital agencies and web designers. But then he found that a lot of CPAs and accountants were using it. Law firms were using it. Mortgage, finance people. So what he did was, it's the same software, but he created different landing pages for each industry. So this one is catered to digital agencies. It's all about website content and working with clients. The one about mortgage and finance is going to be about gathering finance documents and stuff like that. So that's one approach you can do as well. For Kelly or anyone who wants to serve one niche, if you're not 100% sure, the way to start is to have an industry served range of categories, but then make sure you stay open if you are in fact open to working with anyone. You can have that there. Another way to structure this, another Web Designer Pro member, Mark, if you go to markhyde.com, he has a really good example of kind of, it's not necessarily by industry, it kind of is, but it's by his expertise. So Mark comes from the church world, and he once told me church websites are my jam. So he's very referable, and he's very known in different circles of churches as kind of like the website guy, because he knows that world. He knows where the call to actions need to be and all that good stuff. So he has his by like churches, Christian schools, but he also serves local businesses in his area and creators, influencers, and bloggers. So it's another good example if you want to go to markhyde.com to check that out. A couple different examples there of going niche without going fully niche if you're just not 100% sure. Great question, though. Kelly says, I've turned P1 development into serving the racing industry. That's right, Kelly, because I know you were in pro for a little while, and I don't know if you had fully committed then, but I know your website was geared towards that. Getting so much traction with possible clients, I feel like I can easily position myself as the one serving this niche. Yeah, I mean, go for it, Kelly. Look, if you're there, I remember we talked about this early on. If you feel like you're there, I want to see that term possible clients change to actual clients. So let's get some sales going. Get some sales going and get that referral base going, and then you'll be off to the races, if you catch my drift. So yeah, go for it, Kelly. The other option too is like, if you want to make yourself open to other referrals while you get that stable, then there's nothing wrong with having either a page of your site dedicated to that or a spin-off website that is a one landing page all about racing websites. And if you use Bailey's model or any sort of model for website in a day or website in a week, you can really productize that to be your website in a day or week offer. Anisha, welcome in. Let me take a drink and let's get this question. No apologies for questions. No apologies needed. There are no bad questions around here, unlike a lot of web designer Facebook groups. Apologies for my question. Newbie here. I've been seeing a lot between sales pages, landing pages, and website. What is the difference between a landing page and my website homepage? This is a great question, Anissa. So there is and actually I love that you're bringing this up because there's a very important distinction between all of those things. Let's start with a website homepage. I view a website homepage as a directory to your landing and your sales pages. So a website homepage in particular is going to be very scannable, or at least it should be very scannable. Now, if you have a services page about web design and what type of web design services you offer, that's where you can go into the meaty details about all the things that you do within website, what tools you use, your experience, your team. That's where you could go in further with case studies and results all on one website page that isn't as scannable. It's a little more readable. So that's the big difference there. And it is all that. So landing pages can be a sales page. Here's how I view it. All sales pages are landing pages to some extent, but not all landing pages are sales pages. Case in point, a blog post might be a landing page because you may drive traffic to a blog post or to a piece of content that is a, rich and meaty page, but then that goes to a sales page to actually purchase or to contact or to book a call. So that's the distinction there. Landing pages are the in-between between because landing pages could be services pages as well. It's kind of the in-between between your homepage and then an actual sales page. So that's the big distinction there. Great question. That's really the way I see it, the big distinction. Yeah, so let me know if that helps, Anisha. That's a great question. And I think this is actually a really important thing to relay to clients. So even if you're established and you think you got it all figured out, remember that clients don't have it figured out. So if your clients are wanting to make a homepage a sales page, but then they also have service pages and blog posts, I would let them know your homepage should be the one that directs them to the service page, because in most cases, SEO, ChatGPT, and other search engines and search platforms are trying to find the best information for a certain problem or a certain solution. It's not always going to go to a homepage. It's going to go to a service page. Yeah. Valerie says, just listen to 387 today, still figuring out my systems. Great info. Awesome, Valerie. Yeah, and again, the details are below, but if anyone is interested in launching your VIP day or your design day and you want to charge $2,500 at minimum for those, jump into Bailey's course. I'm a proud affiliate. Use my link for your bonus. I guarantee you will come out of that thing and you will be launching design days for at the very least a couple $1,000s. It'll pay for the course with one project. Then you can thank me later. And again, if you don't want your whole model to revolve around a design day, like I would have it as your starting offer. Productize the heck out of that thing and let's go, as the kids say these days. Are the kids even saying that these days, or is let go more like early adulthood? It's probably that. Shout out to Alexia. I want to offer web design and branding services, and I've been looking at her and the other pro member sites. An insPROration, awesome, for building my site. That's awesome. I'm so glad the insPROration space has helped you. For those who didn't see this earlier, oh man, yeah, we just opened up a brand new space in Web Designer Pro called insPROration, and I've got 15 members featured who all have something unique about their businesses. And what's really exciting about these is like Mike is really focused on in-person networking. And a lot of them share, I'm not going to share their numbers here because I promised to every member that would remain private inside of Web Designer Pro, but they did give stats about what's behind their business, their pricing model, if they serve a niche, what their specialty is. Like Mike's a really good example of in-person networking, but some other ones here don't do near as much in-person networking. Kristen doesn't do barely any in-person networking. She serves speakers, and that's how she has built her referral network in the speaker and coaching world. So yeah, members of Web Designer Pro, have some fun with this. And if you're not in Pro, join us. If you join at the community level, you get immediate access to the entire community and insPROration, and you can see their pricing, see what's working, and then make sure you use your revenue calculator that I have in the chat to map out your services and your offers and your pricing. Let me know if you guys need this in the description, by the way, because I can put this revenue calculator in the description if it's not easily found in the chat. So just let me know. All right, guys, let's get back to some more questions here. Good to see PBP Web Design. Welcome in. Awesome. Hey, Mark, good to see you. I was just asked to redo a website for a foundation that I donated design work for their logo and fundraising flyers. Couple red flags coming up. What would be a way I can say that I can't do everything for free and that I'll need to charge to stay in business? Exactly what you said, Mark. That's it. You nailed it. Just let them know those projects I did that included the logo and the flyers. Those were pro bono, but those were timed, and those are the only things I offer for free. This would be, now you could always offer like a foundation bonus or a foundation. You could discount. I'm a little leery about saying discount, but you could. What I would do is a special offer for foundations, and let's say a project of their size would normally be $5,000, but as a foundation, as a previous client, they get it for $4,000, something like that. That's how I would go about that. But yeah, no one should feel bad about not doing work for free, because unless you just have a trust fund that you can live off of and you don't need to make money, you need to get paid for your work. So yeah, don't feel bad for not charging. I would feel terrible for not charging because I don't want you to be out of business, Mark. And if they want you to be out of business, I won't make any gestures, but they can how about that? Peace out. But yeah, that's the way I would approach it, is just let them know those services were pro bono. These are not, but you do get a foundation discount. Awesome. Awesome. Carolyn liked Anisha's question. Yeah, it was a great one. Sales, landing page, homepage, all different things. Is there a wrong way to build my website if I'm new to web design? I like the marketing agency look for websites and wanted to know if it would be difficult to go. I'm actually not familiar with Pentagram, Smith, and Dictation. Or Diction? I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, well, I don't know. I'm not savvy to that. There's no right or wrong way to build your website. I would start simple. I think the worst thing you can do is make your own site a massive project that is too complex to get done. The best place to start for anyone is a one-page landing page site that just zips down to certain sections. You've got your hero section, you've got about, you've got services, you got pricing, got contact, boom. Social proof and testimonials or recent work if you can. And then the next phase is to build out their portfolio. And then you can go further into your services and then further into local SEO if you want to, blog posts, resources. That's the way to go. All right. Awesome, Anisha. I'm glad that helped. Alexia has a win. Speaking of ChatGPT, I came up number 1 for web design, Rogers, Arizona twice yesterday. Not always, but popping up more and more. Now, Alexia, I don't want to dampen any excitement, but was that off of your own searches or clients? Because I have found that ChatGPT in particular gets very biased. And if you go in there and search something, it's like, oh, Alexia, you're number 1. Because I found this too. It's interesting because I don't think there's a way to measure ChatGPT results yet. Like with Google, there is literally these are the top 10 places. Like it's measured. It doesn't change for other people. Like there may be some variations, but with SEO, you get the top spots if you have the best site and the best domain authority, etc. With ChatGPT, I found that it's a little more, what's the right word I'm looking for? It's persuaded by like your own preferences or your own history on it. So, on different devices. Well, hey, look, I'm an optimist. I never want to be pessimistic, but that's the only thing I recommend watching out for, especially if you're showing off results to clients. But Alexia, if you're doing different devices and it's working, awesome. I tell you what, let's do a little test. Let's do a live challenge. Alexia, we're going to put you on the spot and I'm going to see web designers, Rogers, AR. Let's try this out. Hold on a sec. Let's have fun, shall we? Let's see what pulls up for me. And again, if it doesn't, that's no problem. So I'm going to go into ChatGPT here. We are going to see web designer, or we're going to web design, Rogers, AR. Let's see what we see on my end here, Alexia. No pressure. Look at that. Number 1, numero uno, Alexia Lynn, number 1 in ChatGPT for web design digital marketing agencies in Rogers, Arkansas. I said Arizona. I'm sorry. I'm in Arkansas. Look at that. Way to go, Alexia. That's huge. What a freaking web designer pro. Alexia, it's only been a year and a half since you were on a YouTube live stream saying you thought about joining pro. And a year and a half later, this is literally like a live success case study, guys. So way to go, Alexia. That is awesome. Look at that. Killer. Way to go. For those who have not checked out Alexia's website, why don't you do the ChatGPT search and go check it out, visualvibedesign.com. She is actually in our list of inspiration too, right here. So you can get a feel for what she's up to. Way to go. Well, that was fun. Awesome. Sweet way to go, Alexia. All right. Valerie wanted to know, do you have a tutorial on creating landing pages? What you just mentioned, one page that zips down. I don't. It's interesting. I've been for a little while continuing to kind of like secretly build something in the shadows, which is a model site, a new like model agency site. And I thought about doing one that is just a landing page. So this gives me, Valerie, the push to make that a priority, to have like a great one pager, basically. I don't have an exact template for that yet, but I'm trying to think if anyone is rolling with a one-page site that I've seen here recently. The pros that I have featured all have multiple pages. Gosh, I could have sworn I just saw one that was more of a one-pager. Yeah, that's a great call, Valerie. I will make that a bit of a priority item here. I will say, though, I do have a video on like a layout that I recommend. What is that video called? Homepage. Hold on a sec. Here we go. How to design a high converting website homepage. So let me post this in the chat, guys. And this video is a little older, but I still stand by all of these principles. So go check that out if you would like. It's in the chat. It is a video on some of the like main aspects I recommend having in either a homepage or even a one-page website. So yeah, go check that out. Awesome. And by the way, Alexia was nervous, I know, but hey, holy crap, it's actually real. It is real. Alexia on my ChatGPT, which I don't believe I've ever put anything about Alexia or her website in my ChatGPT. It's real. Alexia, you have arrived. You are in the big leagues now. You are now being searched. I wonder if on Google if that's the case too. I imagine you're probably, yeah, you're second when I searched on Google. Now I've been to your site, so it was like that, but I imagine even if we go incognito, I imagine that's going to be the case. Oh, yeah, Rogers AR Web Design. That's first on my end, incognito. So my gosh, keep on going. And I see a second page that is, is this a, it's Carl's. It's Carl's website. Interesting. So you're actually getting two listings. You have two pages on the front page. So way to go, Alexia. This is incognito. I'm seeing number 1 result, and I'm seeing number 5 is you again. You have 2 links on the top 5. The next step you could take if you really want to own this, Alexia, even more, to get into the map pack probably as well, is to do a local SEO page dedicated to Rogers. For those who haven't been through my SEO course yet, I do teach this method. It's ViaForge. Oh, one second. ViaForge. So ViaForge is a web design agency here in Columbus. I actually knew the owner, unless he has since disbanded. I'm not sure. And he had like a great local SEO. Maybe he disbanded. I know that they were in flux. Regardless of what he did on the business front, he sure as heck got great SEO results. For example, I wonder... because this is one he was pulling up on. Let's see. Yeah, he must have took his site down. But he was more of a digital marketer agency than web design. And as I've been saying a lot recently, I've seen a lot of agency owners burn out, regardless of what type of results they get. So make sure you stay sustainable. So the moral of the story is he had location-based pages and got incredible results with that. So that's something you could go if you want to go further into that, Alexia. All right, Valerie, thinking of offering landing pages as a promo/discounted option for churches or nonprofits that need a discount offer. Yeah. What you could do essentially, Valerie, you could structure it as a landing page or just a one pager. That's definitely what you could do. And that's where I would do like a design in a day type of route, because you're probably only going to have 6, 7, 8, 9 sections at most for that type of landing page. So there's nothing wrong with that as a starter, but I would make it more of a fallback plan, because a lot of owners are like, well, if your packages start at 5,000 for main sites, but we could just do a one pager for, 2, you don't want to get them like thinking, what could I do to not pay 5? So I would use it as more of a fallback plan. Yeah. Yeah. Alexia has been really focusing on my own SEO for the last 6 months. So glad it's paying off. It's literally paying off in rankings. And I know you've been boosting your conversions too, Alexia. So, yeah, that's great. What have you been doing specifically, Alexia, without making this a typical Web Designer Pro coaching call hot seat? Have you just been updating descriptions and metadata, or have you done anything else to your Google business profile? If there's anything you'd like to share in the chat, I'm sure myself and others would love to see what exactly you've been doing that you've been putting focus on. All right, guys, we've got 5 minutes left. So I am going to put a final call out for final questions. Been a fast hour, but I hope you guys have enjoyed this one and taken some stuff you can apply to your business. I will put in the replay description the link to the revenue calculator that I have set up for you. If you just joined us late, this is completely free. I've made this available to you to where, and this does have a little overview of how to use it so you don't get stuck or mess anything up and can't figure it out. This is available so you can change your price points and then you can decide what your revenue target is for the year. So let's say you don't do those sites. Let's just say you do a website in a week and pro sites. You could definitely do maybe 15 of those a year, 5 of those, boom, we're there. And depending on how many MRR clients you think you can lock down or what you have now, maybe this is where you can adjust this. You have a $99 plan with 25 clients. Look at that. We're already on track to 6 figures. Couple support plans that are higher end. And then what the heck? Let's do logo and branding. Let's do 5 of those per year. Boom. We're over 6 figures. And then you adjust some of these numbers and it's very interesting how quickly you can get to $250,000 plus. Yes, yes, yes. Exciting times. And for those who joined late, please do yourself a favor, regardless of whether you're interested in design days or not, and check out Bailey's episode, which is on the podcast right now, the Web Design Business Podcast. It's episode 387, and I am a proud affiliate for her and her course, the Design Day Blueprint. Use my link below to nab up the offer to get that special bonus deal when you learn from her about how to structure and launch your design days. And again, I'm telling you, you can come out of this with selling one-day websites for $2,500 at minimum. So you will make your investment up potentially 2x with one website. So I fully support it. It is the perfect addition to what I teach with my pricing and my offers, which is to have a design day in the starter range. And you can take a lot of those principles into custom projects. But as we saw earlier, a lot of projects are not going to be a fit for design day. It needs to be a design in a week or a more like a month style custom project. Nothing wrong there. No shame in that game. They can really work well together, which is awesome. So Alexia, for her SEO stuff, has been optimizing her site, metadata, Google Business updates and posts. Also got some backlinks from her local library because she was teaching some workshops right there. That's genius. I didn't even think about that. I knew you were doing those workshops, but you get backlinks on that stuff. That's amazing. Hats off, Alexia. Way to go. Cheers, cheers, cheers. All right, guys. Final call for any questions. Any final questions? Anybody have a takeaway they'd like to share today? Was there something today that you were like, yes, I'm implementing this ASAP as possible? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. Let me know a final question or your favorite takeaway of the day. Valerie is a librarian here. Thanks for drawing people to your local library. Yeah, because I think her local library has been doing these like open workshops for businesses. And yeah, Alexia has done a couple of them. It's a great example of a win-win, and it translates to online because when you do a local workshop, you get a backlink. It absolutely transports to things online. Kelly said, I listened to the podcast about LinkedIn. Can I tell you I'm getting more racing warm leads from there than anywhere else? Interesting, Kelly. Very interesting. That's great. And man, I would just roll with that. I would just keep on going with LinkedIn. Whatever is working, whatever you're getting leads from, double down on it. So make LinkedIn your thing. I'm glad that episode helped. Joe McKay was great. That was just a couple episodes back. If you guys want to check that one out, highly recommend it. That's wonderful to hear. That was actually 386 if you guys want to go back to how to use LinkedIn specifically to get clients. Awesome to hear. I'd love to get your thoughts on the most effective way to contact other web designers who might need help handling overflow or white label work. So one of the best ways to go about this is to either in person and virtual. In person, go to meetups. You can search like web design meetups or designer meetups, graphic design meetups if you don't know anybody, and you will meet designers and you can just build relationships with them. But before you do that, have an area of expertise. Even if you do a lot of other things, you need to be referable. You need to be the person who they're like, Radio Nowhere TV, I don't know your actual name, that they do this. They know WordPress, they know WooCommerce, or they know local SEO great, or they do a certain aspect, or they know Webflow, or they know Dubsado, or whatever it is. Have an area of specialty. And yeah, Alexia says, no cold email. I agree. That's a hard game. I would look for meetups in your area. Don't be afraid to go to like BNI and networking groups, because a lot of those groups have creatives, have digital marketers. One of the best things you can do is to find folks who are not other web designers. I mean, you could for handling overflow, but I would actually look for referral partners, folks who do SEO, digital marketing, social media, videography, photography, who can then funnel clients to you if you want your own clients. If you purely want to just currently, right now, for a time, want to do white label work, then I would have an area of specialty. Actually, real quick, as we wrap this up, let's go over to insPROration. And this is the strategy to do it online, which is to be in a community. So I would say join Web Designer Pro and go to the Pros for Hire section, and you can post your skill set right here. We have a section here in Pro that you guys are seeing live where members who are down to white label for other agencies and other members who need help, put it right here. You can add your specialty, your platform of choice, your builder. You can add your details, and you can get hired inside of Web Designer Pro. If you don't do it in Pro, do it in Facebook groups, but it takes a different strategy. You can't just say, hire me. You have to do what Christian did in my insPROration category here. Christian is actually my personal developer who I hire occasionally, and he has expertise in a very advanced WordPress development and advanced custom fields, which is a plugin for WordPress. Those are his bread and butter. And I connected through him through a Divi Facebook group originally. So you can go that route as well. You can be in a Facebook group, but you just have to be really, really helpful and like spend some time and just answering questions and prove to other people that you're an expert in some sort of field. Not even, you don't have to be an expert, but you have expertise in something. You got to be referable. So that's the way I would go about that, because yeah, agencies do need help. And you can always put yourself out on Upwork and Fiverr, but that's a hard game and it's a lot of competition. You're also going to be competing with people at $5, $10, $15 an hour. Probably not where you want to be if you're listening to my stuff. So that's a couple of different routes there, in person and online. All right, guys, great questions today. This will be available as an audio podcast on my podcast. So if you missed some of this and you haven't had a chance to watch the replay over the next few days, if you listen to my podcast, the Web Design Business Show, you'll get it next week. So feel free to enjoy that. And again, I will put below the link to the revenue calculator that I have set up here for you. You can map out your business goals. I would highly encourage you listen to the latest episode about Bailey's agency getting 400 plus clients on a website in a day offers. And if you use my link, joshhall.co/DDB, that will take you to a special offer that Bailey and I have put together for you to learn her exact systems and processes. Yes, that is my affiliate link, so I will get a kickback. So I do appreciate it if you use that. But I fully back this, guys. This is not something I personally teach on. So go through this, launch your design days starting at 2,500, and we can cheers together in person at some point when we meet up. How does that sound? Awesome. Awesome. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining. Great questions as always. Really enjoyed this one. This is one of my favorite Q&As of recent. Great topics explored. So have a great rest of the week. Keep on doing your thing, guys. Don't let any of the negativity around AI or economic uncertainty scare you, because I'm telling you, I'm overseeing web designers doing 100, 200, 300. I have a couple members in Pro doing 500 plus in their web design agencies, and are not burned out and stressed out. It is possible. A lot of what we talked about here today is the groundwork of it. So keep on going, friends. There's all the opportunity in the world. Freaking awesome. So happy to help you. I hope to see you in Web Designer Pro. if you would like to become a member. I will be opening up some coaching spots for folks who want to have DM access to me for coaching and our weekly coaching calls. That'll be next week. So good time to jump in. Everybody in Pro and the community level gets first access on that. So I hope to see you in Pro. All right, guys, have a great one. Giving you a good old Midwest goodbye here.